Hi, I'm Upasana Govindarajan, a digital artist. Thank you so much for featuring me on Unnati Diaries, Raji. I'm so honored to share space here along with so many other wonderful artists. So, what does Unnati mean to me? Well, it literally means progress, and my definition of progress is to be a better version of myself. So here I am to share a little bit about myself, who I am, where I come from, and what I do. I'm a digital artist who loves retelling stories from the Itihasas and Puranas in the way that I best understand. And I'm particularly drawn to Bhakti poetry and stories of Bhakti in general. I was born in Chennai and spent a large part of my childhood in Coimbatore. My interest in these subjects started at a very young age. I come from a family that gives a lot of importance to traditions. Growing up, we were encouraged to ask questions about why we were doing what we were doing. Of course, I got a lot of answers only much later, but questions were always welcome. As a child, I was given a lot of exposure to different art forms, and I learned Carnatic vocal music for a few years, and that introduced me to a few pieces of Bhakti poetry. I was also enrolled in shloka classes. Growing up, my father would tell me stories from the Mahabharata at bedtime. My mother is very artistic herself. She is into music, dance, and painting, so I think I got the creative gene from her. And my mother plays the veena, so there was always veena music in the house. She also used to be a student of Bharatanatyam, so she would take me to concerts and recitals. I spent summers with my maternal grandparents who took me to a lot of temples, and I got a chance to learn about all the associated legends. My other grandfather would quote from the Gita in everyday life. So all of these experiences left a lasting impression in me and have contributed to what I do today. I doodled a lot as a child, but I never had any formal training in art, nor did I even aspire to be an artist. I took the conventional route of doing my bachelor's in computer science and engineering and worked as a software engineer for a few years. But it was around that time that I came across the digital medium for visual art, and I was hooked. I loved experimenting with it, and I would just play around with the brushes and the various tools. So it was a lot of fun, and I soon found myself freelancing. It was at that time when the possibility of art as a full-time career option actually opened up. And it was also around this time that I got married and I moved here to the US. The digital art experiments continued, but I soon found that there were gaps that needed to be filled, and that is why I decided to take some classes at art school. I went to the School of the Museum of Fine Arts at Tufts in Boston, and I learned a lot about traditional mediums. I learned how to work with them, and I learned how to apply those learnings to my work in the digital medium. And I think it was very crucial for my career because it honed a lot of other skills that I needed as a freelancer. As to what inspires me, I believe it is my spiritual journey that drives my artistic pursuits. I find inspiration in all the poetry I read, in the conversations I have with people, in nature, in children, and in the work of other artists as well. And one of my biggest influences has been the renowned artist Sri Keshav Venkatraghavan. I have learned a lot by simply poring over his works for hours together, and it is from his paintings that I learned how to translate raw emotion into art, how to infuse bhava into whatever I draw. The one thing that I've learned in my journey as an artist so far is that everybody has a voice. We just have to discover it and find a way to creatively express it. Our voices are very important to how we evolve as a society. So it must be expressed, it must be heard, it must be acknowledged. And art has given all of that for me. So I would encourage everybody to keep looking for that medium through which you can express your voice. And it's perfectly okay if it takes some time, but it definitely is very rewarding. So don't be afraid to try different things. I tried different things before I got here, and I still try to push the boundaries in whatever way I can. More recently I launched my own online store where I sell prints of my work. So that has been a journey in itself. I'm learning how to be a creative entrepreneur. So for me, it is all about the process. And especially in a field like art, there can be a lot of challenges. But if we find the right kind of support, if we surround ourselves with the people who can give us that support and provide a nurturing environment, it makes a lot of difference. And at this point, I would like to take a moment to thank everybody, my family, my friends, my mentors, and my social media community, and everybody who has made this journey possible for me and continue to make it very fulfilling. Thank you once again, Raji, for giving me this amazing opportunity and platform to share my story. And for everyone watching, I wish you all a very happy new year.